the other night I was on a call with one of my friends, and he brought up a really interesting thought. It was, I feel like God won't love me after everything I've done. And that hit me right here, and because I know that feeling. I know that feeling of, man, I messed up so many times, and I keep messing up, and I keep failing God. So does God still love me? I think one of our greatest examples of God's love is seen in Saul, who later became Paul. But Saul was one of the most violent and aggressive persecutors of Christians, dragging them out of their homes and killing them and persecuting the church and blaspheming and being aggressive. I mean, Saul was not a good guy. And one day, God stops Saul on his way to Damascus, and he says, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And he later became Paul and became one of the greatest apostles and one of the greatest missionaries and messengers of God. God showed his love to Saul. God showed love to someone so violent and so aggressive. And I'm pretty sure that if God can love Saul, God can definitely love you. I feel like the reason why we don't think that God will continue to love us with everything that we've done, we only truly have an earthly representation of what love looks like. We don't have a perfect example of love here on this earth to really compare to the love of God. When we think about love, we see our family and our friends, and we see the way that divorce happens, and we see how there's hardships in relationships and tension, and we see how we see breakups, and we see the way that earthly love often fails. It fails. And I think it gives us this idea that God is the same way, but God is not at all like that. I mean, not even close. God is love in and of itself. God is the purest form of love, and there's nothing that you can do to separate yourself from him. There's absolutely nothing. God wants nothing more than your heart, and God wants nothing more than for you to love him. And that's something I want to leave you guys with, is God's love doesn't expire, and God can use you in great ways. I think the problem is sometimes we don't feel God. We feel like he's not there. We feel like God is absent. And I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes we feel like God might not be loving us. We feel like because we can't feel him, God doesn't love us. The times that we don't feel God, and I love the way that Billy Graham said this. He said that sometimes when we feel like we can't feel God, may be the times that he is the closest to us, because that is when we must walk by sheer faith. God is always close to us, no matter how strong we feel him or how little we feel him. Even if we don't feel him at all, God is always there. God always loves, and God's love never expires. It's a hard thing to wrap our mind around, because like I said, our representation of love here on earth it's fallen. It's in a fallen state. And so we oftentimes forget that God is outside of that fallen state. God is a perfect being. Therefore, God's love is perfect, and there's nothing that can separate you from it. I hope this video cleared some things up for you. If you guys had any doubts, or maybe you were just feeling like you're in a rough spot, where maybe you felt like you just messed up and like God doesn't love you right now, but hopefully this video gives you some comfort or some peace of mind knowing that, like, God is still there for you. God's got you. Just rely on him, trust in him, lean not on your own understanding. And yeah, that's all I had for you guys today. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Give it a like if you liked it. Maybe follow, because I love making these videos and I would love to keep making them for you guys. So catch you guys in the next one.